Hello, this is Leah Bai. Let's continue our conversation about stress and intonation. In my book, Lamps, I talked about speaking like a singer can help you to reduce your accent. Have you ever thought about why would a non-native speaker have a less noticeable accent when speaking than singing? Let's read the content in my book and have Phyllis explain to us why. Accents are defined in their rhythm, stress, intonation, vowels, and linking. The rhythm of music leads you and helps you to pronounce the words with the correct speed. Intonation and stress. Intonation helps you to find the music of English. You may pronounce every word correctly, but still sound foreign and unnatural if you don't follow the music of English. In singing, syllables are lengthened, airflow is increased, articulation is less precise. Thus, we get a more generic and naturalized. Therefore, thus, we get a more generic and naturalized accent that happens to share features with standard American English. What did you say, Phyllis?
Neutralized.
Neutralized, okay. Thus, we get a more generic and neutralized accent that happens to share features with standard American English. It's a long paragraph for me.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is why I asked that we have lots of fluid in our system. Because as much as we think, okay, we can keep on talking, if we don't have that fluid, all of a sudden the tongue just simply doesn't want to move as well.
Yeah, feel mouthful, right? Kind of tired now.
Right.
Yeah. So Phyllis, we were trying to help our audience to understand why singing somehow help to reduce your accent.
So singing, again, as you said initially, singing allows us to elongate words. Singing also, in that elongation of the word, it gives us time to set up that higher tone. Also in singing, one of the things that you'll notice when you're singing is in actual song, that stress pattern, you'll say intonation versus intonation. That type of thing. The song literally has a higher note. It drags out that I have yet to hear a song that doesn't change a note for a higher tone. For the stress patterns. The intonation actually of a word is one in which you want to emphasize the meaning of a word. So if we want to emphasize the meaning of a word, we'll say, instead of, helps you to pronounce, even though pronounce is a higher tone, but you take it that stress pattern, that higher tone on that primary stress, and it literally takes, instead of pronounce, up that tone up a little bit, it takes it a lot higher in singing. So we also, when the stress pattern is in spoken speech, then a song will literally take the song higher and elongate it. So you hear that much more often. So therefore, I really encourage people to record themselves singing a song and then look at the words that they're singing and say, oh, that's where that stress pattern is. Now, if I can slow down and say what I want to say, the rhythm of music leads you and helps you to pronounce the words with the correct speed, intonation, and stress. You can hear that as a, you can hear this as kind of a song, as a verse out of a song, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is by slowing down, by using that, then it helps you pay attention to where the higher tone is in the individual word. It helps you hear where the emphasis is on the nouns, the adjectives, the objects of the word of the sentence,
Mm-hmm.
the adverbs. We want to walk slowly and create a more emphatic, so you've got emphatic and slowly. You're using a pause before those, but you're also slowing those down when you're in a song. This is why
Mm-hmm.
people you know, ABBA is notorious. All the music that they sang in English, they don't speak a word of English in their regular tongue. Yet
Yeah.
when they're singing, their songs are very, very clear English.
Right. That's why, we were talking about in a lot of the talent show around the world, right? Like American Got Talent. There are a lot of folks from different countries, and they can sing perfect English songs and almost like native speakers. But if you hear them talk, that's a totally different story.
Right, right. What happens is the the beauty of singing allows everybody's language to be better understood.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I've noticed, Russian is a very, the Slavic languages, Russian included, can be very harsh. Everything's in the back of the throat, whenever they
Mm-hmm.
say things. This is something, like even for the Scots Irish, everything's in the back of the throat.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what happens is by doing music, everything has to move front forward. You have to relax the back of the throat. You have
Mm-hmm.
to pause longer. There's longer tones for English. Everything has to relax so the music that the the different notes can be sang. Otherwise, tightening all those muscles in the back of your throat restricts music.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I had that kind of experience at a certain years. I remember I took a singing lesson with a vocal teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and she taught me to use a higher pitch of my voice, and the ear, had to come out from, the head, not from here, right? I had no idea how to control my voice, but by just practicing what she taught me, and you could feel it was much easier for you to produce those high pitch singing. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the same thing for speaking, right? And English is a pretty, I would say, lazy language. If you force yourself to kind of become stressful, and your voice will show that, and of course you become unnatural, and your native tongue or accent will show up, and it's pretty hard for your audience to understand you.
Right, right. In when when we're tightening muscles, when we're tightening all of the muscles of speech, when we're tightening those, it restricts access to so many other vowel sounds. It restricts access to being able to change the tone of our voice.
Mm-hmm.
Given that my background is that of a speech pathologist, understanding, what the inside of, of the whole speaking system between, your vocal tract in here, and then understanding that we have pockets all across our face that as we tighten these muscles, we restrict our ability to be able to move between different sounds, being able to get enough as we tighten our muscles just at, like certain accents of Mandarin. Some parts, of Mandarin, everything's really back in the back of their mouth, and everything is much tighter in the back of their mouth, and everything, all those muscles are tightening up. If you go to another accent, and I forget where it is. It seems as though there are lots of singers that come from a certain area of China. And they have this higher tone and everything kinds of moves out very gently out of their mouths. And it seems the same thing happened, the United States had very different tones once upon a time. And then all of a sudden there was national TV and they developed something called standard American English or broadcast English, in which they trained every television person to use this. If they wanted to move up the ladder, they had to move around the country and they had to have the same pronunciation and tonal pattern, voice pattern. That is called the broadcast English. And this is what we're moving here, is because it allows for muscles to relax and simply pronounce the sounds without adding all of that hard, regional accent, tonality to it. So therefore, think in terms of a musician. Think in terms of music where you relax and move things forward. If anybody has ever tried to sing all of the holiday songs, they will find if they're trying to sing it with the same kind of stress patterns that come in their own first stress pattern, their own first language, then all of a sudden they have a sore throat. All of a sudden their voice goes out and their head hurts.
Yeah, I was thinking, some of the musicians like Celine Dion, they were doing 1 hour, 2 hour concert, solo concert, right?
Right.
How do, how do they do that?
They have learned that music and speech is a whole body exercise.
Mm-hmm.
It's rare. They literally are athletes, knowing how to breathe from their abdomen, breathe from their diaphragm, how to hold their shoulders back. In other words, relax everything and keep the muscles going that are critical for the pronunciation. The other part of it is singing allows you to slow down and focus on the pronunciation.
Well, in that case, let me try to read the same paragraph as if I'm singing to see you can tell the difference, right? Okay, let's give it a try. Okay. Accents are defined in their rhythm, stress, intonation, vowels, and linking. The rhythm of music leads you to and helps you to pronounce the words with the correct speed, intonation, and stress. Intonation helps you to find the music of English. You may pronounce every word correctly, but still sound foreign and unnatural if you don't follow the music of English. In singing, syllables are lengthened, airflow is increased, articulation is less precise. Thus, we get a more generic and neutralized accent that happens to share features with standard American English.
There you go.
I feel better.
Good.
And my throat is not as tired as I did the first round.
Right. And that as you think in terms of softening how you're saying things and putting a lot more air behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It helps everything relax all throughout your vocal tracts, all throughout your jaw. Everything relaxes when you're thinking in terms of pushing it out with a bit more air, pushing it out with a lot softer approach to it. And that's what singing does.
Yeah, we talk about this subject many, many times, but today I learned something new from you is really think about you as a speaker, as a singer. It's a total body workout, right? Doesn't matter you are doing a speaking or presentation. Relax and, make sure you drink enough water and take your time, and also the pauses and, pace we were talking about. Of course, learn the pattern of stress and intonation. I guarantee you, my audience, and we can become better speaker. I think that's my confidence today I learned by listening to you. Okay, Phyllis, give us some feedbacks and takeaway points so my audience can go home and practice.
Well, one of the things we want to let people know is number one, the stress patterns in words help you to understand that there are certain words, like we've talked about before, whereas if you say the word subject, if you put the high tone on sub, then that's a noun. However, if we say that very same word with a high tone on the second syllable, subject, that is a verb. So there are many other words that are similar to that. The If we don't put the right tone on a word, if we say it, like the word information, you know, if we say information, then we're sounding like we're French. That's how the French say it. So we got to say information versus information. If we say information, then nobody knows what we're saying because the tone's not there, like in so many other tonal languages. The other aspect of it is we want to have intonation used when we want to emphasize a certain point. If you notice, I said if we want to have intonation, I'd pause right before that and pause after it. That tells somebody to pay attention. Those pauses plus elongating the word, that intonational pattern, that lets people know, oh, this is something I should pay attention to. Now, we have listened to speakers who drone on and say every word as the same type of intonation pattern, and they keep going over this is the subject, that this is part one that we want to do, and we want to emphasize this part and go on to part two. Pretty soon, people are asleep. We have to use that stop, pause, and slow down the word or the phrase that we really want to use. For intonation, we have to pay attention to pause, our intonation, that type of thing. So that is where intonation comes in. Stress is where you have to know subject versus subject, the noun versus the verb, or those emphasize on the suffixes. Those suffixes will tell you when you have communicate versus communication. That ION, those suffixes will tell you where. And there are many other suffixes that change the pattern. So look those up and see what else you can find. There are tons of opportunities on somewhere on the web that tell you the difference with the suffix pronunciation patterns.
Yes, I think with a idea, direction, where to look for, and there are tons of free resources available on the internet. Right. And all we need to do is learn, practice, learn and practice. And if my audience, you are very young, like in your 20s and the 30s, and it's jump into that learning curve and just to join Toastmaster. That's one of the very affordable and effective programs, and both Phyllis and I are in. And give yourself the chance. You will be amazed, how much you can better yourself just by learning, a little bit of everything, and every week, every month, and in a couple of years, you will be a different person, in terms of your level of confidence as a speaker and a presenter. And Phyllis has, the experience, in the past more than 25 years teaching international professionals. Right. She knows how to help you, and also she knows what's the root causes for those, issues. So anything she can help you, by the end of my audio, we will give her information for you to find her to help you as a professional. So Phyllis, thank you very much for all the tips today you share with me and my audience. Looking forward for our next section, which is about what? Vowels, right? Vowels. So that would be another interesting subject for us to discuss.